everyone, and welcome to another career conversation with Career Services. Today, we are talking with alumni Josh Swanson. He's working at dunnhumby. Josh graduated back in 2012 with a BS in mathematics and computer science, and we are super excited to have him here today. So, welcome, Josh.
Hello. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for inviting me.
Alrighty, so to start it off, we've just got a couple questions to ask you. So the first thing is just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so like you said, math and computer science, double major, graduated in 2012. I'm currently an engineering manager at dunnhumby, and I've been here for 8.5 years now. I miss going to the movies. So in the before times, I miss doing that. I have recently enjoyed watching all the SpaceX launches. They just had a crewed mission launch yesterday, so that was pretty fun. And I would say one of the positives of this quarantine situation is I've been really embracing the opportunities that I have to do things virtually, right? Kind of like this event. It's been nice that I could kind of just offer to do it. I don't have to worry about getting to the school and taking extra time, but we can just kind of connect virtually. And so far, so good.
Well, we're certainly glad you were available today to connect with us. So thanks for coming. My next question for you is, how did you come to work for dunnhumby?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. So I actually got an internship my junior into senior year summer. One of my classmates had had an internship the summer before. It had gone well, so they were looking for more interns. So they had asked me if I was interested. I said yes. So I interned over the summer. I ended up interning over like winter break and a couple of other breaks. And then I was offered a job when I graduated in May.
Awesome. That's so nice that you were able to do so many internships and get your foot in the door. That's awesome.
Yes, very helpful.
So along with that, how did Brockport prepare you for where you are now?
So I would say a couple of things. The first one is they really gave me a good foundation for my technical skills. A lot of people might say we're learning in outdated technology in like Java or something, but it really gave me a good basis of kind of how the languages are constructed and just a good understanding that allowed me to build on top of it once I got into my job. Also, kind of working in teams, we had a lot of classwork that was team based. So that was really good to prepare me for what the real world is, which is usually working in a team and not just kind of a solo contributor. And lastly, not only in classes, but also in like extracurriculars, it really allowed my leadership and communication skills to grow and kind of blossom where I didn't think that they were.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear you mention the working on teams and doing like group projects, because I feel like so many people, think, well, this is pointless. Why am I doing this? But teamwork is definitely something you use outside of college.
Exactly.
All right. My next question is, what is your favorite part of working where you do?
So I think I'll give two answers. One is I think all engineers, which is I really enjoy the problem solving and creating a working solution, right? Seeing that culmination of all the hard work that we've done just puts a smile on my face. But specifically at dunnhumby, it's really cool when I think about that kind of what we're doing. A little bit of background, I suppose, is we help retailers essentially work out their pricing and promotion. So like Wegmans, for example. Um, and so it's really interesting when I think about the stuff that I do kind of can impact, although a couple of spaces removed, but, an everyday person who's going to the grocery store, what I'm creating kind of helps them have a better experience at the store.
For sure. That's so cool. Um, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to get into this field, the field that you're in?
Yeah, so specifically around like computer science fields, my biggest advice would be to look for places that you didn't expect, right? So a lot of people might think of like the Paychexes of the world, and even the dunnhumbys of the world, which are great. But there's a lot of places that you might not think of that are also looking for people with computer science degrees, like higher ed, nonprofit, and even medical places. Everybody's looking for the skill set that you have. So I just, look for places you might not think of right off the bat.
Especially in this new COVID age where everything's virtual, everyone to help them with that tech side, right?
Exactly.
What is the most important thing you've learned along your career path?
So this one is a bit more computer science facing, but it's to be, or sorry, this one's not. But don't be afraid to be pushed outside of your comfort zone. Right. So I found that a lot of times, right, my manager might be giving me something to do and I didn't think I could do it. And I wasn't sure if I really wanted to take on that responsibility. But all of those opportunities or all of those chances are really opportunities to grow. And you're not really going to know until you try. So I would say just be open to those opportunities. Even if you don't think you can do them initially, try it, see how it goes. If it doesn't go well, then you know, but more likely than not, it's probably going to go well. It's going to be a good opportunity for growth. And that's also kind of your manager is, giving you those opportunities because they think you can do it. So just take advantage of those, do the best that you can, and don't just pass those up.
Love that advice. Great piece of advice right there. What do you wish someone had told you before you started this career?
Yeah, this is the computer science one. But it's don't that you and your code that you produce are two different things. So a lot of times when you're putting in, code for a production system, right, you have like reviews and kind of chatting about what you did and why you did it. And a lot of time, there's feedback and sometimes critical feedback about what you did. And it's really can be difficult, at least initially, to realize that, the feedback that people are giving isn't to you, right? It's to your code, and those are two different things. And that you shouldn't be taking that feedback personally, right? It's just another opportunity to grow. But I think it's something that can be difficult to learn as you're entering the workforce. So just knowing that ahead of time to work on it would have been great to know.
Definitely some great more advice, Josh. You got so much good stuff here today.
Trying.
Um, what is something that a person can do to set themselves apart from other candidates?
So remember that when you're during the interview, it's a conversation, right? It's two people. Like the interview isn't interviewer, isn't, some crazy robot or some crazy person. And, you're just a person too being the interviewee. And it should hopefully feel like a conversation. So just try to have a conversation, connect with the other person that's sitting across from you, either across the table or across the Zoom meeting or what have you. But just try to connect with them and have a conversation and don't put too much extra thought into that.
Definitely. All right, and my final question is, what advice do you have for current Brockport students?
Yeah, so a couple of pieces here. I would say try to get an internship. I know I was lucky enough to get a couple of different internships. They're, just really helpful in general to get a sense of what the workday might look like or different opportunities within your field of study. If you can't get an internship, that's also okay, but try to do some extra learning outside of the classroom, or even get a professor to help do like a one-on-one learning experience that I now can't think of what the name is. But just like talk with your professors or try to do something extra on the side. If hopefully you're interested in it, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. I think the classic one is to utilize your professors. I think every alumni or kind of senior classman is going to give that suggestion, and I don't think any freshman ever takes them up on that advice. But again, your professors are just people. They're looking to have those conversations with you. They're willing to help you out, not only in your classwork, your homework, your assignments, but just general advice about the career opportunities, different paths, and what else you can do. And then I suppose tuning my horn a little bit for my presentation. Improving your communication skills is something that you should work on.
For sure. Well, that's a great transition. I will hand it over to you for your presentation, Josh.
Awesome. Let me just share my screen real quick. I did it once. You think again?
Perfect. We can see it.
Okay. Awesome. Now, can I bring up my other slides? There they are. All right. Thanks again. My presentation today is going to be on effective communication, why it's important, why employers are looking for it, and kind of what you can do to improve your skills. So effective communication is critical not only for the professional world, but also for your personal lives too. We're talking about verbal, written, and even nonverbal communications. From a professional standpoint, it can be easy to teach somebody a new software tool or a new piece of a workflow, on the job training. That's not a big deal, but it's a lot more difficult to teach somebody how to be professional in an email or how to work well within a team. It takes a lot more effort, a lot more time, and can be a lot slower to kind of pick up on those skills versus something like just kind of here's a new tool and here's how you use it. So I've come up with 4 questions that I'm hoping some of you might have, and I'm hoping that I can answer for you all today. And it kind of boils down to why, when, what, and how, all kind of relating around effective communication. So we'll just jump right into the first one, which is why. Why are communication skills so highly valued? So more likely than not, on a day-to-day basis, you're going to be interacting with at least one other person, and you want that interaction to be meaningful. The communication skills can take a long time to develop. They take practice, and often during that learning period, you can have some negative effects like misunderstandings, miscommunications. People can start getting frustrated, and all of that takes a toll not only on you, but on the others that you're interacting with. Like I kind of mentioned before, they can be difficult to teach. They take extra time, they take extra effort, and kind of given the choice, a lot of times a company is going to choose somebody who has the communication skills and then can give the on-the-job technical training. They're also one of the pillars for a high performing team. So just a little bit of background on like a high performing team, but it's where you have a team where everybody is working together towards a common set of goals. And it's really an instance where the total that team can do is better than the sum of their parts because of how well the team is working together. And as I mentioned, one of the key pillars of that is being able to effectively communicate with one another about what's happening, what's going on, what's next. And without that, you really kind of fall down to just, a regular team, which might not be bad, but companies are really looking for those high performing teams that are constantly driving value for the organization. So next we have the when are communication skills required? I felt like this list probably could have been hundreds of bullet points long maybe, but I try to keep some areas that you might not think about where communication skills are actually being used. So the first one is when you're interacting with not only your team members, your working team members, but also other members across the organization, you're going to have to be able to communicate the progress that you're having on your certain project or any problems that you're having, and you need to be able to put that in a format that everybody's going to understand. When you're trying to share an idea, whether that's a fun idea for a way to improve the team's morale, or if it's a cool solution to a problem, you have to be able to put your idea in a format that other people are going to understand so that it just doesn't get overlooked or misunderstood and kind of just thrown as, not an option. But you need to be able to kind of show that in a way that everybody's going to understand. Another piece that is happens a bit more in the real world than in maybe the collegiate environment is giving and receiving feedback, which can be difficult as you first enter the workplace. But you need to be able to give people not only positive, but sometimes constructive feedback on what's going on. You want to make sure that if somebody is doing something that you like, you're giving them good feedback, letting them know that. And then also, if you're having a problem with somebody, it's a lot better to address that and kind of giving them feedback on, why you're feeling a certain way or what's happening. Otherwise, it's just going to be pent up frustration. And those conversations are very difficult, even with good communication skills, and they can be even more difficult if those communication skills kind of aren't up to par. So just being able to have that skill set, have those hard conversations with people is important. And then something as simple as meetings. You might be on meetings potentially once a day, potentially a couple times a day, a couple times a week. And before our quarantining and our virtualization meetings, right, it was a bit easier to for somebody who was leading the meeting to get a good sense of the room, read body language. Now that since we've gone virtual, that at least I found that to be a lot more difficult, right? You're only seeing the top half to a third of somebody, and you can really Zoom fatigue is a thing. So just being open and knowing that is a situation, knowing that other people could be going through a rough time on the meetings or time to take a break, being able to communicate that if you're leading the meeting or if you're participating in the meeting, are all good skills to have. And next we have what? So what is an employer looking for during an interview? So I mentioned it a bit before, but we're looking to see how that conversation flows, right? We're hopefully going to be working with this candidate for the foreseeable future. So we want to make sure that we can communicate with them on a daily basis. Is this an easy conversation that we're having, or is there kind of a lot of work that's going into it? Is it very question, answer, kind of regimented? All of those things we're looking into to see, do we have that connection with that person, and can they kind of continue a conversation as if we're two people? We're also trying to see how you think on your feet, right? So we're going to ask you curveball questions just to see how are you going to kind of take that, internalize it, and then give us a response. We don't necessarily care about what the response is per se in some cases, but it's about how you kind of frame it. How are you able to pick up on that question and explain your thought process? Although some people might think it, the interviewers can't read your mind. So you have to be able to explain what you're thinking. What is your thought process? How did you get to, certain conclusions if it's more of like a technical question or a detailed question? So all of those things are what we're kind of looking for in, all using as inputs to our final decision is how does that all go? And lastly is how. How can I improve my communication skills? Really, it comes down to practice. You just have to practice, practice, practice. There are some options like for electives that may be outside of your comfort zone. So like the public speaking course or an improv course, both kind of just put you out there. Improv, right? Great for thinking on your feet, being able to adapt how people are kind of communicating with you, and even just thinking about communicating in a different way. And you also are having conversations all the time. So you're having conversations with friends that you're close and comfortable with, which are great. Maybe throw in like a debate topic or something there. Or if you're comfortable with your friends, start expanding that circle. Start talking to those professors. Start talking to other classmates. Improving those small talk skills. And each time you do that, you're going to kind of find that the world didn't burn. You still survived, so you can kind of do it again. And then each time it becomes less scary. So it's just all about continuing to do those things. And then lastly, I just thought I'd throw in a summary slide. Right. Effective communication is highly valued to an employer. We're really looking for that during an interview. And like I kind of mentioned before, if we're up between a candidate who has great communication skills, might be lacking on the technical side, or has great technical skills and might be lacking on the communication side, we're probably going to be picking the person that has the better communication skills, certainly up until a point. But right, we can do a lot. We're able to train those on-the-job technical skills a lot better than we are training those communication skills. So just kind of something to keep in mind that's going through your employer's head. It also helps in your personal life, right? Not only is it going to help you professionally, but having good communication skills is also going to help you in your personal life, which is just an added bonus. And then I just thought I'd say, it can be learned and improved upon. And I think I'm a perfect example of that, which is if you had told me when I was a student at Brockport that I would be giving a presentation about communication skills, I probably would have laughed. But here I am. I've had a lot of experience leading meetings, giving different presentations, and, each time I hope my skills are improving and you are able to kind of learn and improve those skills. So don't think that it can be done, because it can. And that's it.
Well, that was great, Josh. Thank you so much. I think you have great communication skills. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
So I will just say thank you. I'm going to go ahead and I'll end the recording and we can open it up to questions.
Cool. Sounds good.